Thank you very much. My name is Riwan Okpanashi. We are for the appellant. We brought this appeal to this honorable court. The journey started from the Federal High Court when Federal High Court made an order compelling our client, Senator David Mark, to show cause why order of interim injunction should not be granted. We felt that the court had no jurisdiction to have made that order because the court has no jurisdiction to entertain the substantive matter, being an internal affairs of a political party. And for the fact that all the major reliefs are against individuals who are not government agencies. So that was the basis of our appeal to the Court of Appeal. Of what Court of Appeal in its own wisdom struck out our appeal for want of competence. And we're in the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to intervene and make a finding that the Federal High Court has no jurisdiction to entertain the matter, being an internal affairs of a political party, because it is very clear that issues that borders on party governance, membership of a political party, and party leadership is beyond the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court. And the provision of Section 83 has also prohibited court from entertaining matters that borders on internal affairs of a political party. So the Court of Appeal, in its own wisdom, struck out our appeal, but went ahead to make an order that was not solicited by any of the parties, which is order to maintain status quo antebellum. And we're before the Supreme Court to say the Court of Appeal has no jurisdiction to have made that order because, one, it was not sought for. Two, the Federal High Court and even the Court of Appeal have no jurisdiction because it borders on internal affairs of a political party. And the order to go back to the Federal High Court for a later hearing, we also challenged it because why should we go back to a court that we know has no jurisdiction? And that's why we fought the Supreme Court, for the Supreme Court to invoke its general powers to take over the matter from the Federal High Court and dismiss it for the very fact and obvious fact that the Federal Court has no jurisdiction. And the Supreme Court, all the materials needed to do that is already before the Supreme Court. The original summons is before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has the power to take over the matter, step into the shoes of the Federal High Court, and dismiss the matter. And that is what we have urged on the Supreme Court, because issue of jurisdiction is vital. It can be raised at any time. We use this opportunity to thank the Supreme Court because they appreciate the urgency involved in this matter by accelerating the hearing of this matter. If you are aware, we came here last week and today we are here and the appeal has been heard and judgment reserved. And the judgment can happen anytime as from tomorrow. So we commend the Supreme Court for what it has done. And
so do you believe that the Supreme Court is going to do justice to this case?
Yes, sir?
Do you believe that the Supreme Court is going to be fair and do justice to the case? Do you believe the Supreme Court will be fair and do justice to this case?
Of course. My name is Riwan Okpanashi. The Supreme Court will definitely be fair and just. This matter is a matter the Supreme Court has given judgment over 5 decades. The Supreme Court has been very consistent that when it comes to internal affairs of political party, no court in Nigeria has jurisdiction. So we have plethora of authority from the Supreme Court that we are leveraging. So it's not a new matter. It's even very unfortunate that we are disturbing the Supreme Court for a matter that is very straightforward. This Supreme Court is very consistent. So by tomorrow, any time the judgment is coming, you are going to see that the Supreme Court once again demonstrate that it's a very consistent court. My name is Riwan Okpanashi.
The case is very straightforward. We are here today. The court, like the legal advisor has said, we are waiting for a day for the ruling. But we are very confident that the case will be decided in our favor because it's an established case. Incidentally, like was reported, one of the judges were actually among the judges that laid the precedent on which we rely for our case. So we are very confident. We just can't tell our members to keep hope alive because, like we have repeatedly reiterated, what is at stake is no longer about ADC. What is at stake is the very democracy of Nigeria. And those who want to ensure that they eliminate multi-party democracy in this country. So it's our collective fight. It's a fight for the very survival of Nigeria itself. Thank you. Thank you.
This is a court we've been coming to several times in the past. And today's proceedings have been peacefully conducted. And for those who came with the appeals today, everybody will now wait for the Supreme Court to decide. But we are happy that we came here on a narrow issue. And that issue is on jurisdiction. If a court doesn't have jurisdiction, it doesn't have any business going into any matter. So it is a long-established principle of law here that it's only jurisdiction that can activate the powers of a court to go into any matter. So if you don't determine jurisdiction, and you begin to go and look into the matter, you are on a frolic, because at the end of the day, you may have wasted everybody's time. If you don't have jurisdiction, you don't have jurisdiction. It's just like they say that if it does not fit, it does not fit. You cannot come and go into a matter that you have been forbidden not to go into. And the arguments have been made here in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court have established this principle too, that internal affairs of political parties are not justiciable. So they have been led to before them today. Almost all the arguments, both in PDP and ADC, border on jurisdiction of the courts in dealing with the internal affairs of political parties. So we are hopeful, before coming here, that the judiciary will do its own bit to help us put everybody on a straight path. Politicians will always want something to be done in their favor, but it is the court that will say, no, you are wrong. So when the court is firm, there will be no confusion. And we look forward to the Supreme Court standing very firm to defend the laws of the land and its own previous decisions on this subject matter. So we wait for them, and we believe that justice will prevail. The integrity of the court will remain.
So when is that going to happen? It's reserved.
Where it's reserved, they will call us back for judgment. They will call us back for judgment, and I'm sure it will be soon. It will be soon in coming. It will be soon in coming. It will be soon in coming, because Supreme Court itself ordered accelerated hearing.
Thank you.
So time is of essence.
And of course, you know what the procedure is. Our elite council, represent other council in the matter. So the matter, like you have witnessed today in court, has been adjourned for judgment. And my comment is simple. We are hoping that the Supreme Court will once again, take a decision that is firm, that will stabilize the polity. The Supreme Court had in the previous times, it's not just a constitutional court, it's a policy court. When it appears that the nation wants to catch fire, due to the mischievous attitude of politicians, the Supreme Court had in the past not hesitated, in giving firm judgments, that are not just judgment, policy. It's a policy court, it's a constitutional court, that will stabilize the polity. So I am hoping, as an activist, as a constitutional lawyer, and also as a part of the team of lawyers, defending ADC in this matter, we are hoping that the Supreme Court will once again take such firm decision, that will stabilize the polity and put an end to this rascality of Nafiu Bala Gombe, whatever he's called. One man that has now want to assume himself to be National Working Committee and National Executive Committee, and maybe also only him alone should also be the National Convention of the ADC. We're hoping that the Supreme Court will put a full stop to this rascality and restore sanity, because the Supreme Court does not exist in the vacuum. If there is no peaceful Nigeria, the Supreme Court will not exist. So the Supreme Court is there to restore sanity, to ensure, to restore sanity in the polity, particularly when politicians, are making or doing their mischief. Of course, some politicians are mischief makers, like Bala Gombe. He's just a mischief maker. So we're hoping that the Supreme Court will put a stop to this rascality, and put and restore the polity, and allow for, a free and a stable transition, for 2027 general election. Thank you so much.
It was a very wonderful, wonderful, wonderful court proceeding today concerning the ADC and the factional ADC. Today, the court have heard it and has read out what he think that is what is supposed to be, but the judgments have not yet been given. We are expecting the judgments to be given by tomorrow or next tomorrow or any moment from tomorrow, so that ADC will know their stand. But from the interview, the lawyers and every other person that was interviewed believe strongly that the winning will be yours. So ADC is looking forward to see the judgment on their behalf. Going through what the judge have said today and how the proceeding went today, they believe strongly that it's going to be on their favor, and it will help them to proceed to finish planning on how they will tackle APC on this coming fourth general presidential election. But until then, we are hoping that the judgment will be given any moment from tomorrow, and everyone will understand where the ADC is, and all of us that are also the supporters, so that the person which we are hoping for, Mr. Peter Obi and Konkoso, ticket to be a powerful role that is going to tackle Tinubu and his government to remove them from there. But until then, we are crossing our fingers tomorrow and next tomorrow or more to see what the judgment is going to be. But we strongly believe, and as much as all the whole ADC leaders believe, that is going to be on their favor. So until then, we are going to wait to see what is going to be.